Remember when we thought Bush would be the dumbest president we ever had?
Yes,
Oh, good
I
times,
remember
good
that.
times. In terms of war criminals, he was at least better than this one.
You know, one of the things I've learned in politics and media is this. People don't just look for information anymore. They look for connection. They look for somebody who can help them make sense of the chaos without losing their humanity in the process. And for more than 20 years, today's guest has done exactly that. She's built one of the most successful progressive radio shows in America by mixing sharp political commentary, fearless truth telling, and comedy that makes people laugh even in some of the darkest political moments of our lifetime. But what makes her story even more fascinating is where she comes from. Her father was Congressman William E. Miller, Barry Goldwater's running mate in 1964, part of a Republican movement that helped reshape modern American politics. Yet today, she has become one of the loudest and most enduring progressive voices in the country. That journey from Republican royalty to progressive icon is uniquely American. And underneath all of the jokes, impressions, and viral moments is somebody who has spent decades trying to help people hold on to democracy, hold on to hope, and maybe most importantly, hold on to their sanity. So today, we're going to talk about politics, comedy, resistance, media, Trump 2.0, and what it means to keep showing up every single day when the country feels exhausted. So my friends, please welcome my dear friend, Stephanie Miller, to At Our Table.
Aw, my forever chair. I will
Oh,
never let you go, my forever chair.
well, you are always so kind. And when I was chair, you always rolled out the red carpet for me and always welcomed me. And I'm so appreciative of that. And I
Well,
miss having our conversations. So I decided, let's get Stephanie to come on my show.
you're welcome anytime. And also, I must warn your audience that you shamed many of the comedians on stage as Chicago Sexy Liberal. You are every bit as funny as the people on
Oh,
that stage.
well, I had so much fun, and that was just an all-star cast. When I think back to that convention week, Stephanie, it really
Uh,
was one of the best. And I just knew with all of the positive energy and vibes and all the
yeah.
fun that we had there, I just knew that it was going to give us the momentum to get across the finish line and
Yeah.
really put this
Well,
this guy back in history.
and Chair, we had such an all-star panel, Governor Pritzker and Mark Hamill and you and, Jan Schakowsky
Jan
and
Schakowsky, yeah.
Jill Wine-Banks. And so I have to ask you, I know I'm turning the tables because 'cause I'm used to
Yeah.
interviewing you, but what do you think of Ken Martin's decision not to release the autopsy? You saw that Kamala Harris, of all people, just called for it to be released, and I guess if she's willing to do it, I do get the argument, Chair, that people are saying we don't want to look back. Democrats are doing
Yeah.
so well. We're winning election after election. We're way ahead in the polls. Trump is in the basement polling wise. We do have a tendency, don't we, to form a circular firing squad? Is that the fear that we're going to start like living in the past again? And
Well, I think so. You know, with things like that, I think you have windows, like the windows of opportunity, and you normally have to release those things in those certain windows.
right,
And I'm assuming what Ken is saying, and I have not, I've been interviewed by the team that did the whatever they're calling it, the after action report, the
right,
whatever autopsy. But I'm assuming when they didn't get it done in that window, probably prior to the beginning of this year, then the thought was then either we hold off on this until after the election because we don't want to create any distractions from the focus, which has to be taking back the House of Representatives. And when you think about it, Stephanie, listen, in the end, this autopsy report is not so much about the midterm elections because that's a different beast than it is a
yeah.
presidential election cycle. So if you're going to get any lessons learned, they're probably more appropriate for a presidential cycle than they are for a midterm cycle.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming that may be part of
And
what he's factored in.
And also, Chair, I was saying the other day that I think we just have such an amazing bench of candidates. I mentioned
Yeah.
Governor Pritzker, but Mark Kelly, Senator Kelly, my governor out here, Newsom. I love Kamala Harris. I think she has every right as a woman. I have to tell you, Chair, I get really defensive about, after Hillary lost, everyone just the
Yeah.
common wisdom is, oh, she can't run again. And now I feel like that some of that is out there about Kamala. And, you know, um, I think she has every right. She came within a point and a half, and let's have a robust primary. And but I just think people shouldn't be discounted because of common wisdom.
Well, Stephanie, the thing that gets me is that it's always with women that they only get one shot to run, right?
Yeah,
Nobody said when Bernie Sanders decided to run again for the second time that he shouldn't run again, or nobody said when Joe Biden ran
that's right.
for the third or fourth time that that was not the conventional wisdom. Maybe a few people were chiming in and said, "Oh, they shouldn't run or whatever," but it seems like it's more conventional wisdom when it's a woman that decides to run
Yeah.
for a second time, and not when it's a guy.
Chair, let me dive into my personal bitterness well to tell you a
Yes.
story. I not many people even remember this, but I had my own late night TV show opposite Leno and Letterman back in 1995. Last I was up against the Giants.
Wow.
I lasted 13 weeks, but the interesting thing is I was on I don't know, people don't remember Jon Stewart had a show right before that that failed miserably. I had twice his ratings. I had the same ratings as Conan O'Brien at the time, and I'll never forget, Cheryl, when I went to hire a manager and I thought, "Oh, I can do anything I want now, film or, sitcom or whatever." They said uniformly people in Hollywood were like, "No, no, no, she had her chance."
Yep.
That's it. I'm like,
Yeah.
"Really? I that's it?" And so, like you very kindly said, I mean, I had to build this whole thing from my basement because, that was it. Women get one shot and that was it, and I thought, "Wait a minute." Jon Stewart went on, thank God, to bigger and better things. He got to do the Daily Show after that. Conan O'Brien, they gave him enough time that he had a great career, but I do think there's just a misogyny that certainly all of us women are noticing, particularly since Trump has been in power. I mean, the misogyny is not even disguised anymore. Calling Rachel Scott a bitch and calling a woman piggy, and I mean, the misogyny is off the hook these days. It's really, yeah,
It is off the hook, and I think the thing that bothers me the most, we always knew that Donald Trump is just pure trash, right? But the thing is how many people are willing to rubber stamp or to look past the trashy stuff that he says, right?
yeah,
Even mainstream media. That's the thing that really bothers me the most.
yeah,
They set the bar so high for everybody else. I mean, even talking about the shoes that Joe Biden wore.
yeah.
He was wearing those athletic, dress shoes, right? I wear athletic dress shoes. I'm almost half the president's age. But, for him wearing that, that was a big story. Axios was
Well,
reporting on that.
Chair,
But Donald Trump,
how
yeah,
about Donald Trump falling asleep? Every
yes,
every single time he's on camera, and we
every
lost
single time.
partially on Sleepy Joe. Are you kidding me? I mean, his obvious. I mean, I had a mom, Chair, with dementia, and I'm telling you, a lot. It's not just me; it's other people that have had loved ones with dementia. It's doctors. I mean, he clearly is not well mentally, physically. He is not fit. He was never fit for this job. But now we're seeing Chair on the world stage with Iran. It is terrifying. But this is the
Yes.
guy with the nukes. He has no idea what he's doing.
No, and it's just scary. It really is scary right now. But listen, in the midst of all of this chaos, you have been giving people hope, and for a long time. When we think about this, you've been doing this show since 2004, and you covered Bush and Obama, now 2 terms of Donald Trump. How do you keep making it funny when things keep getting worse?
Remember when we thought Bush would be the dumbest president we ever had?
Yes,
Oh, good
I
times,
remember
good
that.
times. In terms of war criminals, he was at least better than this one. Can I can I just say, wait a minute, I did some prep for you. Hold on a second. I just, I don't know. I think you mentioned who my dad is very kindly, but
Yeah.
he was a Nuremberg prosecutor, Chair, and I'm telling you, I keep describing this war right now, it's war crimes on top of sex crimes on top of financial crimes. I mean, we've just never seen anything like this. He is mentioned over a million times in the Epstein files. He is very credibly accused of child rape in these files. And to your point about the mainstream media, I, I, I just can't believe how numb we've become to all of this, to his
Yeah.
daily war crimes and financial crimes. But here's the what I saved for you. In 1966, Barry Goldwater told William F. Buckley Jr. that his greatest fear as a conservative was a president that would use the powers of the office to destroy everyone who disagreed with him.
Wow.
I mean, Barry
Wow.
Goldwater also warned about the influence of the religious right on the Republican Party. He was openly pro-choice and pro-gay rights on the Senate floor in the 80s. I mean, to say this is not my dad and Goldwater's party is this isn't, anybody's Republican Party anymore that I recognize.
And what do you because called your dad a true conservative, often. What do you think he would make of Donald Trump and MAGA right now? What do you think he
I
would say
I
about them?
think I think he'd be appalled, Cher. I mean, he's been gone since 1983, so I can't speak for him.
Yeah.
And by the way, Barry Goldwater was certainly wrong about a lot of things. I think as Senator Franken said once, and he made his whole party wrong, on civil rights. And I think, we're looking at what's happening now and the Southern strategy and all of that started. But, Chair, we are I feel like I'm looking at pictures from the 1950s again with these scenes out of
Yeah.
Tennessee. I mean, what's your take on what we do? Because there's a lot of different speculation. What can we do legally, politically? But I know you and I have had the conversation so many times about we got to stop playing by a different set of rules. Like
We
Democrats
do.
got to, pedal to the metal, balls to the wall, whatever you want to say. But what's your take on what they should do in Virginia? There's been a few theories out there.
Yeah, I just think we have to be bold, Stephanie, in terms of my take. We just have to be bold. We can't be mealy mouthed. We can't be wringing our hands, woe is me, because right now democracy is at stake. So I think we got to do what it takes in order to secure that democracy. Because, and I get it. Some folks said, well, we can't become them.
Right.
I get that to an extent, but at the same time, we can't tie one arm behind our back while, they're playing with no rules and we're playing with all the rules
Yeah.
because we know what happens if we go back. His whole thing about making America great again, and when he first said it, it sent a shiver down my spine because immediately in my mind, it's like, well, what period of time are you talking about? And you're making it great for whom? Right?
Well, and Chair, again, my dad worked on the civil rights legislation, in
Yeah.
Congress in the '60s, and it's stunning to me that we just voted, gutted voting rights, and Tennessee showed in record times why we still need the Voting Rights Act, because they are rushing to be as racist as they possibly can, as quickly as they possibly can, across several southern states now.
That's exactly right, Stephanie, and if you think about it, Brown versus Board was decided in the mid-50s, right? It took states like South Carolina until 1970s to finally desegregate some of these schools. So almost, 15, 16 years, to finally desegregate schools. And these folks, the Calais decision came down 2 days later. They're already, bills, maps, and every damn thing possible in order to gut, what it took, you know, you half of a century on.
Yeah, can you explain to the us lay people though, like how is Virginia able to do this? How are red states like Texas able to ram through something without even putting it to the voters? And out here in California and Virginia, we put it to the voters, we won. And I mean, they didn't just. I think as AOC said, they didn't just cancel a map; they canceled an election. They just said, "Don't care
Yeah.
what you think, Virginia."
See, this is what I really believe has to happen, and part of that boldness, Stephanie, is that we need to standardize elections in this country so that regardless of what state you're in, is a blue state, purple state, red state, that if you are an American citizen, there are certain standards that you should expect for all of your elections, right? There's certain things that are standardized regardless of what state you live in and who controls that state. And right now, we leave too much up to chance, too much to the discretion of states to make determinations. And that's why the Voting Rights Act was so important, because what it did, particularly Section 2, it gave the federal government the power to standardize things to some degree. So it did not allow these states who historically manipulated voting in ways that disenfranchise certain groups to allow them to do that again. But when you got the Voting Rights Act, when you're John Roberts and you're imagining a world in which color and race and all these other things are no longer a factor, I'm like, you need to put down
Yeah.
the pipe, because I don't know
You
what you're smoking, because
as
it.
a yeah, as a Black person, you must have been delighted to find that
Oh,
racism is over.
oh
Um
yeah.
But Chair, on just the Virginia question again, can or should Governor Spanberger just put the maps through, or disband the Supreme Court, replace it, do whatever? I mean, I just feel like we are at extraordinary means, or we're going to end up in an autocracy. And
Yeah.
I always joke that maybe I have a fascism early warning system in my blood from my dad being a Nuremberg prosecutor, but I'm like, this is bad. This is as bad as it gets. He's talking about sending ICE and election integrity, and, goons to the polls, to the polling places. I just feel like we have to be ready for all of the above, don't we?
Now I feel like Stephanie, you're interviewing me, but
Sorry, I tend to do that.
but
I had a lot of stuff like stored up. I had to ask you.
but I think if Governor Spanberger asked my advice, it is this: uh, just do what you think is right at this point. If saving democracy is our primary thing, then you got to do whatever it is to save it. And so, if that means then Republicans have to take you to court, well, hell, let them take you to court. But in the meantime, I would find whatever way that the voters have spoken in Virginia. And the most powerful thing that can happen is voters speaking. And they went to the ballot box and they spoke and they said that they wanted to change these districts.
But
So
here,
therefore, do it.
right, but here's the thing: is there, we've appealed to the Supreme Court, right? But somebody was saying they probably won't even take it because states are, elections are state things. I'm like, really? They sure do go back and forth on states' rights, don't they? It's
Yeah.
so when it's convenient, but then Trump wants to federalize elections, right?
Yeah. Well, listen, this is why the Roberts Court is in such danger, because, it is often said that, Congress or the legislative branch has the power of the purse. The executive branch has the power of the military. And the judicial branch doesn't have any of that. They just have to have the hope and faith that the American people will believe in what they say and the righteousness of what they say, and that it is grounded in truth, and that is the force that they have. Well, more and more that is deteriorating. People no longer believe in this court. They don't believe, particularly the corrupt court that we see now, where you have folks like Clarence Thomas and Justice Alito who are getting paid, all this money by these huge donors who then have cases right in front of them, and who knows of whether or not they're being influenced. You get John Roberts' wife is getting millions of dollars from folks who also have business right in front of the court. So people don't trust the court
And
anymore.
Trump is openly threatening Gorsuch and Barrett
Yes,
on birthright citizenship. I mean, this is the kind of like mob mentality we've just come to expect from him. Just
that's exactly right.
I mean, I
It,
got to hang out with our my forever speaker, forever chair,
no,
Nancy Pelosi last weekend, and it just struck me, Chair, like she is someone that has personally paid the price for Trump's threats,
she
for
really has.
Trump's. I mean, that was an assassination attempt against our speaker
Yes.
from a January 6th thug, and her husband paid the price.
Yep.
So
Yep.
it's just, and they have the nerve to say that, oh, Democrats need to tone down the rhetoric. I mean, are you kidding? This is like a threat machine in the White House every day.
And not only when they threaten, and then when somebody actually gets hurt, they still make fun of it. I remember all the what Trump Jr. and all those folks, the memes that they had out there about Paul Pelosi. This
Oh,
is a
yeah,
man who
hilarious.
almost lost his life.
Yeah,
I mean, and yet, anybody says anything about him, and they are ready to, to just go ballistic. It's just
yeah.
it is one of those things that's just it bothers me to no end that there are rules for everybody else, but they have no rules.
Yeah. I was thinking today, I mentioned today about thinking about Melissa Hortman's children celebrating their
Yeah.
first Mother's Day. Renee Good's kids celebrating their first Mother's Day.
And I don't think the president has still contacted Renee Good's family. I don't think
No,
so, to give him condolences.
he's called her a domestic terrorist, as I
Yeah.
recall, like other people in his administration. I mean, it's dark times, but I gotta say it's interesting. People keep talking about Hungary, and that what they want, Chair, is for us to despair and to depress our turnout, but we just can't. We have to, as you
We
always
can't.
say, too big to rig. We have got to let it anger us and mobilize us and just make it too big for the because some people are calling it dummy mandering. This may blow up in their faces in several districts, right?
My hope is that they are overreaching, particularly with the political climate the way it is. I mean, today I went to fill up my gas tank and it was almost, $70.
Yeah,
Yeah, here in South Carolina, which is unbelievable.
yeah,
And these gas prices aren't going to go down anytime soon. And I think the frustration with the American people are only going to increase. And so what you will have is not that you will see a whole bunch of right-wing folks going to vote for Democrats, but they may just stay at home
yeah.
while, Democrats are all pissed off and they go to the polls.
The
But
only strategy they have, and as a political strategist, Chair, it's the worst strategy ever. Is they just lie. Trump
yeah,
just flat out says gas prices are way down, and Brooke Rollins says we're in the golden age, and Kevin Aston says we're in the golden age of America, and we're paying our grocery bills and our gas bills and going.
yeah.
No, we're not. For who?
And then my bank account is saying, "Well, what the hell is going on right now, buddy? You need to do something better because I'm losing more than I'm gaining." And
Yeah,
I think that's where the American people are. But Stephanie, I wanted to ask you though about the midterms. What do you think is going to happen in the midterms? Do we take back the House? Do you think we have a shot at the Senate?
I do. I do on both. I mean, honestly, Chair, as long as I've been doing this, I've never seen the amount of anger out there. And you see the polling. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not just that he's at practically 30% approval rating, but everything, the Iran war, tariffs, I mean, gone, the ballroom, you go on and on. Americans are wildly against everything that he's doing, and so I just can't. And I feel like in some ways, like, are they just trying to piss us off more? Like Sean Duffy going, "Oh, I went on a 7-month taxpayer funded road trip. You should do it too." I'm like, who the F can afford a road trip with these gas prices? Not most of us, like they're just so out of touch. It's like that. I feel like we're at the let 'em eat cake, like French Revolution part
Yes.
of, really? You're asking taxpayers now to pay for a what is it now, $400 million ballroom? Well, I can't even pay my grocery bill?
That's exactly right. So you think we take back the House? You think we take back the possibility strong we take back the Senate?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
do.
What's the race that you're watching the most? That's the most intriguing for you?
Um, well, it's interesting. I think, and I know this is probably a debate about establishment Democrats, et cetera, but I just call him Oyster Guy in Maine, the Oyster Guy. Um, but Maine's always been, as you know, kind of a independent,
It's different. Yeah, it's
and
a different state.
well, in to the degree that they think Susan Collins is some kind of moderate when she votes for Trump and for right wing garbage 99% of the time. So, but I think like he's obviously hit a populist streak, and that there is some fatigue. Part of it, I bet, I blame the media, Chair, for this. Both sides do it. Both sides absolutely do not do it. And so
Yeah.
Democrats, we just have to really reframe that better. And if he's the guy, and I mean, I love Janet Mills. I loved her standing up to Trump to his face. But you know what? If Maine, they want, Graham Plattner, great. You know what I'm such a blue no matter who. Like, we have got to build the blue tsunami, however we do it, right?
Yeah. I mean, we just have to pick up seats, and I get it. I have a lot of trepidation there, but if in the end that's who the nominee is, then that's
Right.
who the nominee is, and I'd much rather somebody 50% than Susan Collins, who's just concerned about whatever. She doesn't do a damn thing, but she's always concerned.
Yes, a lot of concern.
Yeah. One of the things I also wanted to talk to you was about the state of progressive media. And you got all these you are sort of a pioneer in the space, right? We saw, Air America failed and
That
current
is the
TV.
nicest way I've ever been called old, and I love that about you.
No,
That's why you're such a charmer.
you you are not old. You are not old.
It's true. No, I mean,
No.
listen, I think legacy media is dead, and it's because of that BS, that both siderism. When that
Yeah.
is not, it is just provably not true. And so I think I just had Katie Fang on today. I've had my friend Joy
Oh,
Reid
I'm
on.
so
I've had
so big fan of Katie.
Me too. I've had Jim Acosta on, Don Lemon. I mean, that's the people because they don't have to bend the knee or kiss the ring. And why
Yep.
companies are still doing that to a 30% approval rating, someone that looks like they're decaying from the inside out. Really? Like, why now? Why are you still bending the knee to this guy? And, so I think that there's such important work being done in spaces like mine and outside the mainstream media.
And do you think there's a responsibility that progressive media has? One of the things that I see on the other side, and I don't know where I stand on this, but on the other side, I see with right wing media. I mean, they don't deviate. I mean, every now and then
Yeah.
they'll go at Trump, but they tend to stick to their talking points, and maybe they push Trump even more in a certain direction. But the thing that I see with, I would say the progressive media side, somewhat on ours, is that we still try to play, I don't know, some of our folks still try to do like, they're doing their meet the press when they're highly critical of us in moments in which we probably need to unify and
Okay.
solidify support.
Chair, I couldn't agree with you more. I'm out here in California and I'm like, are you effing kidding me? We are not putting a billionaire or a reality TV star in office out here. Steve Hilton in the governor's race.
Yeah.
I am ready for the era of Becerra, but
Oh, yeah,
and
you see, that's why you and I are just like, because I had Javier on. I love Javier.
yeah,
Yeah,
he's great.
he's a
He's
great guy, and he's so. I mean, my mother-in-law just adores him because she says, he sat there with me, and I wasn't anybody, and he sat there with me and talked with me for 30 minutes about my family and this and that.
Yeah.
That's just he's a good and decent man.
Well, and he has a lifetime of public service. I'm like, are we
Yes.
really gonna do some British billionaire that has no experience? We're really gonna do a billionaire with no experience? And then the LA race, Spencer Pratt, the reality show guy that is a complete lunatic. I mean, I'm a big Mayor Bass fan. I think she's done
Yes,
an amazing job. Our homeless situation is way down under her, our crime, everything. And I hope she gets to finish the job, but I just am
I
like,
do
oh,
too.
please tell me we are not doing Spencer Pratt. Oh my god.
Oh, I know, I know. Who are you rooting for 2028? I know it's a bit early. I know we got to get through 2026, but is there a Stephanie Miller favorite right now or favorites? You might have a few people that you like.
Well, I can't help. I'm an unabashed Kamala Harris fan, and I just, yeah, Chair. I don't know where you fall on that, but man, I am really concerned, and I know my listeners are about. I don't know if I can say the word, but let's just say effery in the elections. I guess I have a hard time believing he won every swing state based on
Yeah,
you know. She came within a point and a half, and she ran an amazing campaign in an
she really
unbelievably
did.
short amount of time, and so I think she obviously, again, should have the same right as everybody else. That being said, like I said, I think we have an amazing array of great talent. Personally love JB Pritzker. We did Chicago Sexy Liberal together, as we talked about. But Mark Kelly, I mean, every time I see Pete Buttigieg talk, I mean, I guess what I get afraid of, Chair, is sometimes we don't vote for who we want. We vote who we're afraid, we're
Yeah,
afraid like other people won't vote for a black person or a woman
yeah,
or a gay
yeah,
person or a Jewish person. And so I don't want to be governed by other people's bigotry.
yeah, yeah. I think that's a good point. And sometimes we allow what we believe or perceive other people beliefs are to influence our personal decisions, and we probably shouldn't do that.
I'll give you an example. I caused a little, a little S storm in the MAGA universe with a picture with Jasmine Crockett and I, where I was jokingly kissing her feet, but um, I caused a MAGA meltdown. But again, I'm just an unabashed Jasmine Crockett fan,
I love
and
Jasmine.
and you know, and I don't know. I don't live in Texas, Chair, so I don't know if it was the people thinking, "Oh, I love her," but I don't know if a black woman can win in Texas, and a young white guy that speaks Jesus might do better. All I know is Tallarico is ahead of Paxton and Cornyn right now in polling, and so yay,
Yeah,
go Tallarico. We just gotta at the end of the day
we gotta win.
vote blue no matter who, right?
Yeah, and we just have to win. Well, listen, I have so enjoyed doing this. And I know I don't want to take up all your time because you are a busy, busy woman, but I do, I
And
don't
I and
know if
I
you
did and I did most of the work for you. I mean, I did most of the
I
interviewing.
know, I know. But before we let you go, Stephanie, we do something special on my show, and it's called the SYAD Award, which stands for the Sit Your Ass Down Award. So we give it out every week. And this can go to a politician, a media figure, billionaire, organization, or just anybody out there is acting foolish and making life harder for the rest of us. So, Stephanie Miller, you're on the clock. Who gets your Sit Your Ass Down award this week and why?
I'm gonna give it to that Virginia court that thought 4 corrupt justices can overturn the will of 1.6 million Virginia voters. Is that what it is?
Yes.
They can sit their ass down, and I hope it gets overturned in one way or another. But it's just it doesn't make any sense, Chair, to ordinary people how red states can ram this through, and we do it the right way, like Democrats always try to do, like we did here in California. The people voted. I mean, why did they rule? Why did they let the election go forward? If they could have ruled, but they waited to see who won, and then oh, we lost, so we got to, make sure we can try to hurt Democrats.
Yeah. To the Virginia Supreme Court, all of you can sit your ass down
Sit your ass
because
down.
right now. One last question, Stephanie. Recently I've had some folks say, "Oh, maybe we should think of some folks from the entertainment world to run for president." And so names popped up like Jon Stewart or Stephen Colbert. What as someone who's been in that space, these are some of your colleagues. What do you think about that notion? Should they even run for office, or should they think about running for president of the United States?
I love what President Obama said to Colbert, like, well, yeah, the bar is kind of lower. You do better than some folks we've seen. I mean, it's sort of as a patriot and an American, I kind of hate how low the bar has been lowered. Literally, like
Yeah.
Spencer Pratt thinks he should be mayor, or this other billionaire thinks it really, that may be one of the most dangerous things is not just Trump, he won't be here anymore, but Trumpism, or just this feeling that, some completely inexperienced, idiot, so I mean, that being said, I mean, look, Stephen Colbert and Jon Stewart are super smart and would be 11 billion times better than Trump. But, I think it is a little bit of a slippery slope to just go, oh, hey, anybody, I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
I think Hillary Clinton and Kamala Harris were two of the most
Qualified.
incredibly qualified
Yeah.
candidates that have ever run, and I hope that's not our trend now, Chair, that
Yep.
we go, "Oh, F that, she has a funny laugh." I don't and now here we are.
No. Well, Stephanie, this was needed, and in a moment where so many people feel overwhelmed and exhausted, and frankly scared about where this country is headed, your voice has become a real place where people can process all of it, and not just with outrage, but with laughter and humanity as well. So,
Well,
thank you for
speak
being such a tremendous
I
friend.
would thank
Yeah,
you, sweetie, and I was just gonna say that's why when you mentioned the late night comedians, I keep saying they are doing the best journalism in the country. That's why
you're right.
Trump hates them. And also, if you can, well, first of all, I always say you have to laugh or you'd cry all day. But that's our power, Cheryl. That's our power, laughing at them, mocking them. Fascists hate that. And that
Yeah.
gives us our power because they want us to feel powerless and feel despair. And, our show is where you come to laugh at them and take your power back and find your joy, find the people that lift you up, so you can stay in the fight.
Well, humor, I've often said it's about survival and it's about resistance. And you're right. That is the power that we have to wield against a group that only anchors themselves in hate.
Yep.
hate and fear.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. They seem to take joy in other people's suffering,
they
and
do.
and we don't. So,
Yeah.
we always say that, just find your joy so you can stay in the fight, right?
There you go. There you go. Fill up
And
those
your
batteries.
and guess who mine is? You. You.
Oh.
You handsome forever chair.
If a black man could blush. Thank you, Stephanie.
Thanks, chair. See ya.
If you enjoyed today's show, please be sure to like, subscribe, and share. Follow us on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Pixel Plus, or anywhere you find your podcasts. For bonus content and analysis, join our community on Substack at jamieharrison.substack.com. At Our Table with Jaime Harrison is a production of Vision Blue Media. Our founding executive producers are Jason Hyder and Jaime Harrison. Our producer is Kyle Kelly. Our content consultants are Ernie Grigg and Clay Middleton. Our digital communications are led by Lauren Brown. Our social media strategist is Nia Asanta. Inez Smolasky provides production legal. Title sequence by Tom Hunt. Our theme song, Blonde Gone, is written by Dewey and published by Alibi Music Library. Special thanks to my friend Stephanie Miller and her team. I'm Jaime Harrison, and I look forward to another conversation at our table.